Alright guys, I've got a bit of work to do today, but I wanted to do an oil change on this week, and I've really got to do it today or tomorrow. It doesn't need an oil change. It's only done like nearly 5,000 Ks. You know, I bought it second hand. I don't know how it's been treated, and I mean, it's not that expensive. So I'm going to go and get all the stuff we need from Watson's Racing in Kumu, get the oil and filters, and then yeah, we'll do an oil change and I'll video it. I thought I'd take the bike. I was going to drive out in the car, but I've got this Jivi Trekker Dolomiti case. It just kind of clips in. That's on there. Nice hard case. It's got some clamps and stuff, like tie down, so you can tie extra stuff to it. The old spinny round trick. Nice. This will be the first full tank I've done. Saying I got 40k range, $56 and 19.5 litres. I've still got to adjust that gear lever as well, one more notch down. We've got that Kawasaki ZX6. No, that's not ZX6. Oh yeah, it is. Going for it. Pretty warm out today. I'm feeling a little bit of head shake in the front on this bike. I'm not sure what from, like I don't know if it's head shake, but like vibration from the front when you hit a bump. I checked it out, but I can't see anything. But we'll go in and get this oil. Alright, sorted. Oil, filter. They didn't have an air filter. Handy having this case. Get out of here and give this thing a service. Thanks to the guys at Watson Racing. Always good service here. I've only been a couple of times, but I went a few times when I had my KTM 500, my Supermoto. Whiskey while we do an oil change, see how that goes. Alright, I've decided we're going to do a gin and tonic instead of the whiskey because it's a bit hot and I don't like ice in my whiskey. Get to it. One thing I will say is my garage is fucking filthy and I just cannot be bothered to clean it, so I'm not going to. Get these parts out. So this is the oil I've got, Motorex 10W50. This is what KTM recommends. Got a high flow HF650 oil filter. Get it up on the handy dandy center stand. Oh, we got to adjust that gear lever as well, and to do that what you got to do is there's like an 8mm bolt in here, and then the whole lever comes off, shift it down one, and then we're good. But we'll do the oil change first, so we need to get the skid plate, and I think we got to get these covers off as well. So it does look like I'm going to have to take the crash bars off, which is a bit of a pain, because these bolts are like just behind it. Looks like we've got a 10mm bolt here, 8mm here, same on the other side. 8mm here, 10mm bolt here on the engine. The bike's obviously warm as well because I rode it to pick everything up. Couple of Allen keys here, 5mm Allen or hex, whatever you want to call it. Nut on the other side. Now that one there just comes off, it's like hinged, that goes on the roll bar there, and this little plastic insert that you're not going to want to lose. And we'll just quickly do the same on this side. Oh, that one's a bit hard to reach.
go. So we've got a T30, a couple of T30 bolts here, T30 star drive. Those, and then a T30 or 8mm. These ones are 8mm or T30. They have that little sleeve on it, so you don't want to lose that either. Another T30 covering this one. You've got to take these little panels off to get to the last screw as well. So a lot of little bolts for an oil change. One more T30 for this side. And then, yeah, that's got little slide things, so you just slide the panels this way. We'll do the other side and then we'll do the bottom. Now it looks like we've just got a couple of bolts on the bottom. 1, 2, yeah, 4 more bolts on the bottom. And then the skid plate should drop out. Alright, that is where the oil gauge is, which seems kind of stupid to me, but it is what it is. So we've got this bolt here, which comes out. I think that's one of the screens. This is your filter, and then this is a drain bolt here, I believe. So I'm going to get my oil pan out, and then we'll get to removing those. So remember, my engine oil is warm. I've ridden this bike for a good half hour, and it's going to be hot, but it just makes it easier for the oil to come out. So I've got a 13mm bolt here. Oh, that is over tight. Oh, and there's a screen in there too. So we'll let that empty out, and it shouldn't be long. And I've just got a clean rag down here to put the screens and stuff like that on, all the bolts, so we can clean them off and get them all sorted. So now I'm just going to take off the oil filter housing and that extra screen there. I'm pretty sure that's one. I'm going to check the manual and just double check before I start taking it off. I'm going to take out this is an extra screen, so we're going to remove that, and I think it's going to piss oil all over the exhaust. And there's the other screen. So we'll clean these out, get these screens out, but I can't see any metal or anything in there. They look nice and clean. The oil's not too bad either, actually. So, and then lastly, we'll just take this oil filter out. Oh, it's hot. I'll get some pliers. There you go. And yeah, there's an O-ring. And oh, that was all out of focus. And there's an O-ring on the back side of that oil filter top. So I'll just give that a bit of a clean, make sure it's in good condition. But yeah, there was those 2 8mm bolts here, and there's another 13mm one for that oil filter housing, but it was out of focus. So that's great. And then I'm just going to use these needle nose pliers to put them in and kind of expand it out, and then you can pull the oil filter out, like so. Give it a little inspection. So we'll let the rest of that drain out, and then we'll clean up all the surfaces, clean the screens out, and chuck the new filter back in. We'll just make sure that filter is the same as well with the new one I have, and yeah, it looks identical. And then yeah, just going to clean up these surfaces, make sure there's no gunk on there or anything. Now I'm just going to, I don't think you have to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of oil inside this filter, new oil obviously. So I've got the 10W50 here, having it pre-lubed, and when I had my KTM EXC, see it's coming out the bottom there, I used to do that with all my oil changes. I used to soak them, so make sure that's in there properly, and then just go ahead and make sure that oil seal is good. Probably best to replace it, but I'm doing this way earlier than it needs to be done, so all of these things are fine, and I'm just going to give it a good clean and make sure there's no crud on there or anything. Make sure that's seated in there properly as well, and I'm just going to do it hand tight, make sure it looks like it's seated. You want to double check all this stuff. You don't want to be losing your oil on the road and blowing your engine, you know. And then these bolts are spec to 6 Newton meters, so I am going to use my torque wrench, but 6 Newton meters is not a lot. If you do much, you're going to snap these bolts, and then you're going to have a real problem on your hands. So yeah, it's just kind of a little bit more than hand tight, but I've got the tools, so I may as well use it. Again, 6 Newton meters, that's it. So that's really not tight at all. And now I'm going to go ahead and clean these screens out. They do look pretty clean, but I'm going to spray some brake cleaner through here and get any foreign stuff that's on there out, but it should be fine either way. And again, just double checking those oil seals are sweet, the oil O-rings are sweet as well. I am using brake clean. It's probably not a great idea to get brake clean on the rubber O-rings, but it should be fine for this. And we'll hose it, we'll wipe it off pretty quick. Yeah, the only thing with brake clean is it kind of perishes rubber and plastics. And we'll chuck that first screen back in. Again, making sure it's seated. You don't want to push it too hard and squash the metal. So just be super careful with that. And we'll torque those down in a minute. So I'll clean the other one. And just double check there's nothing in there. You don't want anything getting into your motor. Nice. Alright. Clean the surface. There shouldn't be any friction or anything getting those oil screens in. They should just go in nice and easy. And then finally, this screen bolt and this screen bolt, the two 13mm ones, you're going to tighten to 20 Newton meters. So 20 Newton meters on a torque wrench. Yeah, that's only not much more than hand tight. So now we can fill it up with oil and put everything back together. And then we're going to check out the front end as well, see if we can find a rattle in there. Now the very last thing we do before we put everything back together, just in case you forget, is put the oil in. So I've got a 4-litre container, and it's saying to use 3.6 litres, and the fill is just here. Get my funnel out. It's not really the right funnel for the job, but it'll do. It's about 3/4 of the bottle, so I'll just get that in there and check to see the levels. And it's only just on the gauge, so we'll keep that going. So that is going to go down once it circulates through the engine as well. So I think you can just see the level is right here. So I'm going to start it up and we'll see how it goes. Yeah, that dropped heaps. That dropped quite a lot, so I'm just going to quickly top it up. Although I know there's plenty enough in there to keep the engine safe. And I don't want to overflow it, but or overfill it, but we'll just put a tiny bit more in. Should climb just up a bit more. There we go. So looking at that, that's right at the top of where the manual says to fill it. So yeah, that should keep us at good levels. Run it again for a little bit and then we'll put the bike back together as that's warming up. I'm going to check the front end as well and see if I can find where that shake or vibration was coming from. There's nothing super obvious, but I'm probably going to take the wheel off and just check that as well, and then we'll take the air filter out of the top and check that too. But I've done a chain adjustment already. The chain is quite loose. Yeah, I just want to make sure the bike's all sweet. It's just for my peace of mind more than anything. I think for the filter and the oil was pretty expensive, but it was about $140 for the 4 litres of oil and the filter, so $140 for peace of mind on a $30,000 bike, I think is well justified. The last thing we'll do while we're already here and we've got the tools out is get our 8mm socket and undo this gear shifter just under the chain there, 8mm bolt. You don't actually have to take the bolt all the way out. There we go, that's one more click down. I might hop on and see how that feels carefully. Kind of needs to be in between, but I'll ride that, and it's an easy change, so I'll ride that and see how it feels. Alright, I'm just going to put this trolley jack carefully under here so I can get the front wheel up off the ground, see if I can find any shakes or anything that might be suspicious. I can't see anything loose. The steering damper doesn't seem to be doing hardly anything. I don't know if that's just because it's a factory one or whatever, but there's no play in the triple clamps or anything. Brakes are on tight, and it is on knobbly tyres, so it seems fine to me. I just wanted to double check that, make sure it's all good. So we've got the gear lever adjusted, oil and filter changed. I checked the front end. We seem to be pretty much good to go. I'm just going to take the air filter out and see if I can, if it's a paper one, I'll blow it out. Otherwise, yeah, we'll see if we can find another one, because they didn't have one in stock at Watson's. I believe there's 4 bolts, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll take that out. Okay, so there's 2 T30 screws, bolts up the top, and it looks like they're holding the cargo case in. It's a bit of an angle, but I'm going to try and get to them. Yeah, okay, so those 2 bolts as well need to come out before you can take the box out, but they're on a kind of funny angle. And there's a USB port in there as well, so I'm not going to be able to take it all the way out. Yeah, that's not too bad. Is that the air filter? Oh, looks like there's 2 more screws. 2 more? Yeah, 2 more screws, 2 more T30s holding the actual air filter in. At least you don't have to take the fuel tank off like a Ducati, I suppose. There we go. Little case comes out. Hope I can get this back in right. That is filthy. Man, that is filth. It is a foam one, so I'm going to clean that out. Alright, so that filter was absolutely disgusting. It was actually like clogged up with shit. It doesn't have an original one, so it's got this uni filter 2-piece foam one. So I've gone ahead and cleaned those pieces out. I'm just going to let them dry out, and then we'll chuck it back in the bike, and then we're done. I mean, shit, that was that bad that the bike is going to run like shit. So I'm hoping that this makes it run heaps better. Well, I didn't feel like it was running bad before, but I've only ever ridden it like this because I've only owned it for like 3 or 4 days. So yeah, we'll let these dry out and then we'll chuck it back in the bike. Alright, so that's pretty much done. Well, it is done. It's not pretty much done. I've got it all back together. I've put the air filter back in. That air filter is a bit of a bitch to reinstall, but it was a little bit tricky to record, so it's just a 2-piece one, and you just kind of have to sandwich it in between. That's going to be the same whether it's a air filter, like a paper one, or like a foam one like I have here. But yeah, this obviously had a really filthy air filter, and it's all nice and clean now and re-oiled. Like I had some oil left over from my last KTM, like air filter oil, not engine oil. Make sure you use proper air filter oil, and she's good to go. So I'm going to take it for a little run and see if I can notice any difference with that air filter being nice and fresh. Let's get on the bike. Unbelievable how filthy that air filter was. It's actually like caked mud almost. And this is why I wanted to do a service, because you know, the last few bikes I've had have all been brand new, so I know they've been really well looked after. And yeah, I guess just peace of mind, you know, for a price of 150 bucks and a little bit of air filter oil. You know, the bike's going to be running a lot healthier now. I think I can actually feel it being, you know, it feels a little bit more responsive. I could be imagining it, but either way, the filter is super clean. The gear shifter adjustment, it does feel a little bit low. Like, I'm just wary of if I'm doing any hardcore, like, you know, proper off-roading,
I don't want my toe hanging down too much when I want to shift up a gear. I think it's alright. Oh yeah, that's definitely going better. I'm not just imagining that. Yeah, not as there. I mean, there wasn't a like hesitation before, but it's really hard to explain. But yeah, it just feels a little bit snappier now. So I guess now that she can breathe properly, you know, it's going to be going better. So that's a maintenance day for you guys. At least the oil was pretty clean, and there was no bits or anything in the mesh, so that's a good sign. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. It dragged on a lot for me, so hopefully it's not too long for you guys. I will of course condense it down. Pretty happy with that. I don't have my proper gear on, so I'm not going to go for a big ride or anything. I'm just going to head back now. It's all good to go, and have some more proper work to do. I'll see you guys in the next video real soon.